remember Trump mentioning that he wanted to take over Greenland during his first term, and he hasn't dropped that issue.
Can you assure the world that as you try to get control of these areas, you are not going to use military or economic coercion?
No.
And can you tell us a little bit about what your plan is? Are you going to negotiate a new treaty? Are you going to ask the Canadians to hold a vote? What is the strategy?
Yeah, I can't assure you. You're talking about Panama and Greenland. No, I can't assure you on either of those two. I'm not going to commit to that now. It might be that you'll have to do something.
During a press conference today, President-elect Donald Trump made clear that he is not ruling out either economic pressure or potential military use in order to take over Greenland and the Panama Canal. Now, for the purposes of this discussion, since we have limited time, let's focus on his obsession with taking over Greenland. It's something that he's been talking about since his first term, and the right wing is also really hyping this policy or potential policy up. So here's what you need to know about this whole Greenland saga. So yesterday, Trump posted on social media, "I am hearing that the people of Greenland are MAGA. My son, Don Jr., and various representatives will be traveling there to visit some of the most magnificent areas and sites. Greenland is an incredible place, and the people will benefit tremendously if and when it becomes part of our nation. We will protect it and cherish it from a very vicious outside world. Make Greenland great again." Okay. And then today, Don Jr., along with Charlie Kirk, visited Greenland. I want to be clear that it was not an official trip. They weren't invited there by government officials or anything like that. They just decided to go there during their private time and tour Greenland. But Don Jr. did say that he is not intending to meet with any governmental officials. It was more of like a photo op than anything else, to be quite frank. So what would we gain if we theoretically acquired Greenland? Well, we're going to get to that in just a minute. But before we do, look, Cenk, I personally don't think that Trump is really going to use our military. Like, we're not going to use military force to take over Greenland. That would be insane. And that would, it would just not be a good idea, in my opinion. But this is what Trump does. He doesn't want to rule out any options. And so when he says economic pressure, I'm not entirely sure what he means by that either. But what are your thoughts about what he's saying here?
Yeah. So, first of all, obviously, invading Greenland would be mental. And so there's a couple of different reasons why Trump is saying this. Number one, he loves bluster. He loves it for the sake of bluster, but he also likes it as a negotiating tactic. So he'll keep everything on the table. He'll threaten X, Y, and Z, and then try to make a deal. Now, he's almost always bluffing. So at some point, the world's going to figure that out. And then I'm a little afraid what happens when one of his bluffs get called. But this is not a serious one. So like, if your bluff gets called on Iran and you threaten to nuke them and then you nuke them, oh, Jesus Christ, that's horrific, right? But on Greenland, we're not going to nuke. He's going to get hurt by this. They're going to generally enjoy this kind of bluster. So that's another reason why there's not much downside from his point of view in doing it.
So just to give you some information about, the governance of Greenland. So it was a Danish colony. It's still considered a Danish territory. However, in the late 1970s, Denmark allowed for Greenland to form its own autonomous government. So it does have its own autonomous government. So with that in mind, let's talk a little bit about what the motivations are here. Why is Trump so obsessed with acquiring Greenland? Well, let's start off with the minerals that Greenland has. Greenland is rich in valuable minerals, many of which Elon Musk is interested in, including rare earth metals, precious stones, coal, graphite, and uranium. Its rare earth resources would rank in the top 5 worldwide if developed. The International Trade Association.
We're going to invade them. That's mental. But look, have we bought territory before? Yeah, of course. We bought Alaska. We had Louisiana Purchase. Those are a different time, obviously. And the leader of Greenland has said many times that he's not interested in getting taken over by America. But like, I don't mind that stuff. I don't mind him saying that he's gonna, we could buy Greenland. and then try to do whatever he's going to try to do. And there must be enormous natural resources there. And
there are.
And his donors must be pushing him to buy it.
They are.
Yeah. And so that's why he's doing it. Because he didn't, like on the campaign trail, he promised anti-war, he promised immigration, he promised, some things on crime and certainly the economy. Did he promise buying or invading Greenland? No. He's doing a lot of things in the beginning that he didn't promise at all to his voters. It's things he promised to his donors. Last thing on it, Anna, is that generally speaking, it's a little jingoistic, and his base does love that. So it's not like
reported. I'm sure they did. Now, if is important here because according to Reuters, development of Greenland's mining sector has been snarled in red tape and opposition from indigenous people. This has kept Greenland's economy reliant on fishing, which accounts for over 95% of exports, and annual subsidies from Denmark, which cover roughly half the public budget. So make no mistake, I mean, the interest that Donald Trump and Elon Musk have in regard to acquiring Greenland has to do with its minerals, with the natural resources available. But even if some way, somehow, Greenland agrees to allowing the United States government to purchase Greenland as and make it part of the United States, you still have indigenous people there who have been fighting back against efforts to mine those minerals. Some of Greenland's minerals could also be used to build electric cars and renewable batteries, which I think there's a huge issue with electric cars, and I know people are going to get upset with me, but like we talk about electric cars like they're totally benign for the environment, but you got to remember, you got to do mining, okay, to get the minerals necessary, the materials necessary to build those batteries. And so I am concerned about the possibility of these resources being cited as a reason to go to war with other countries. So just wait for that. But nonetheless, obviously, Elon Musk is interested in this. And as for the military argument, Greenland has strategic significance for the United States military and its ballistic missile early warning system, since the shortest route from Europe to North America runs via the Arctic island. Now, currently, the United States military does, in fact, have an air base in Greenland, but they want more. So the U.S. has expressed interest in a greater military presence, including placing radars in Greenland to monitor the waters between the island, Iceland, and Britain that are a gateway for Russian Navy vessels and nuclear submarines. And so Trump, if you guys can remember, did attempt to buy Greenland back in 2019. That's why I keep, referencing his first administration. But even at that time, both Greenland and Denmark rejected the offer. It seems possible that Trump would try again, and right-wing media appears to be completely on board for it, to your point, Cenk. So let's take a look at what they have to say.
Well, I think from a national security perspective, as he said, certainly a place that is very rich in minerals and, is geopolitically important for him. And it's a conversation that we want to have with Denmark about being able to use the resources up there.
Yeah, it's going to cost about 1.5 trillion, but it probably will pay off.
Everybody would like to buy Greenland, but are we going to take it by force?
I don't know. We could. There's not that many people there. But I don't think we should have to. And here's why we should want it. They got rare earth minerals. We already have some kind of a space base there. And it would fortify us against the Russians.
I kind of like the idea, maybe you'll join me, of Greenland, Canada, joining the U.S. I think we should invite them in.
It's great for business. It's great for my investments. And look, I mean, you could have a trade deal with Greenland if you're interested in their minerals and their natural resources. Taking Greenland by force sounds like a bad idea. But they have been part of Denmark for 600 years, as I had mentioned earlier. And even though they're a colony of Denmark, they do have their own government and own governance. Cenk.
All right. Andy Mion 2300 is a YouTube member who wrote in and said, we'll treat Greenland as well as we treat Puerto Rico. Wait. Okay. But, it's funny that you wrote that in because I was thinking earlier today, okay, let's say in the outrageous, outlandish hypothetical that we buy Greenland, right? Well, you're going to want to keep the states even, right? So maybe we bring in Greenland and Puerto Rico at the same time and make them now 52 states, right? But But that's all fanciful, right? That's very, very, very unlikely. And look, the most important point is, I don't want this land acquisition anymore. The fight over land has been the bane of human existence. No, I want the land. I want the land. I'm going to murder you for the land. No, I'm going to murder you for the land. So it always starts out with, oh yeah, sure, it'll be amiable. Well, it doesn't always start out that way. Oftentimes it starts out with blood. But in this case, and sometimes it ends amiable, like I said, the Alaska Purchase and the Louisiana Purchase, but oftentimes what that devolves into is I'm going to take it by force and I'm going to kill as many people as I need to. I hate it. I hate it when Russia does it. I hate it when Israel does it. And I certainly don't want America to do it. And it's antithetical to who we are.
Well, what's
What he wants with Canada, Panama or Greenland. So his strategy might be aimed at getting better deals for US, perhaps a discount for America vessels training the key waterway between Atlantic and Pacific Ocean, Greater America, access to rare earth minerals in Greenland, and sea routes revealed by melting polar ice, as well as a new trade deal with Canada that might advantage US manufacturers. Trump would be sure to portray any of those as a massive win only he could have achieved, even if they ends up being rather cosmetic like his first term US Mexico Canada pact. But Trump threats flesh out one of his foreign policy rationales that each country should aggressively pursue their goals unilaterally in a manner that will inevitably profit strong, rich nations like the US. As a president, I have rejected the failed approaches of the past and I am proudly putting America first, just as you should be putting your countries first. That's okay. That's what you should be doing, Trump told the United Nations General Assembly in 2020. This is a doctrine distilled from a life in which Trump has tried to always be most aggressive person in his room in pursuit of win over weaker opponent. This explains his remark that Denmark should hand over Greenland, a self-governing entire inside a kingdom, because it's important to US security, if not